The water type is one of the most important and most powerful type in the entire Pokemon franchise. From competitive to casual, you need a water type because of its defensive and offensive utility. So this video, these two series of videos, yes, there will be a part 2. It's going to be about how powerful the water types are in Fire Red, Leaf Green, and what kind of purpose and role do they fill. And of course, it's going to be a ranking system on who's the best water type that you can get in these games. And part 1 is going to focus on the really bare bones amount of water types you can get in the early game. There's only 2 you can get. You can only get a Squirtle and a Gyarados. And both of them have their pros and cons, and we're going to be analyzing both of them in this video. And the adventure from all the way until we get to Super Rod. And so when we get the Super Rod and Good Rod, we can get a far more variety of water types, and we will get to compare them. Squirtle is the first water type you're ever able to get access to in this game. And it makes for a remarkable early game Pokemon because it can absolutely destroy the first 2 gym leaders with its mix of water and surprisingly dark coverage. And of course, Misty Starmie is part psychic, so it takes super effective damage from Bite. And it's very bulky, so there's not many things that can actually one-shot Squirtle from full. And Squirtle's speed, it's not like he's a lumbering oaf, no, either, because Squirtle's actually surprisingly fast. It can't outspeed like Pidgey or Rattata, but it can outspeed all the bugs. It can outspeed even all the grass types if that's what you need. So as an early game poke, Squirtle's pretty good, and you're gonna see him absolutely not destroy, but you're gonna see him be of value. And he's gonna contribute a lot to whatever team you're gonna be forging in the future. I decided to pick up a Spearow on the way because Spearow covers Squirtle's grass weakness, as well as taking out all the Weedles in Viridian Forest. Now you're probably wondering, Weedle is pathetic. Why would Squirtle be struggling with Weedle in any way, shape, or form? Well, Weedle has Poison Sting, and Poison Sting can easily poison Squirtle with a 30% chance. And Squirtle, as you can see to these Caterpies, he really doesn't do that much damage. If he's not doing super effective damage, he's not doing any damage. So the residual damage piling up from poison will actually do enough damage to either take him out or blow a massive hole into your poor Squirtle. And you really don't want that repeatedly. So Spearow really does take care of that interaction for you. And of course, I pick up an antidote, which is going to be pretty useful. So if you're going to level up Squirtle, level him up against Caterpies as much as physically possible, because even though he doesn't do that much damage to Caterpie, it's something he can take out, because Caterpie does peanuts to Squirtle because of Squirtle's natural bulk. So have fun just absolutely destroying every single Caterpillar you see. And another great matchup for Squirtle is Metapod. Now you're probably wondering, well, everything has a good matchup against Metapod. It's even having a single attack. Well, its special moves allow it to bypass its defense boosts, so you won't be doing 1 damage eventually. You'll actually be doing the same amount of damage you did since the first bubble. So it just makes the fight against Metapod a lot less annoying. And a Metapod is a great source of EXP, so if you need some good levels, like I'm already getting a level 10 Squirtle, then Metapod is a nice place to grind. Although you really don't have to grind the wild Metapods because Brock is an absolute joke and you really don't need the extra levels. And then of course I see the 5% Pikachu, so in honor of seeing the 5% Pikachu, I catch it. Now, is it that good? Am I even going to use it? No, I just wanted it for the dex and because it's the 5% Pikachu. So if you didn't know you can get Pikachu in Viridian Forest, well, now you do. And of course, Spearow is going to switch in, take out the Weedle for my Squirtle for its longevity and for its sanity. So yeah, there's Viridian Forest. Brock. So basically, you have the most favorable matchup you're ever going to ask for, because Geodude and Onix have a quadruple weakness to water because it's both rock and ground, and rock and ground both are weak to water. They made the weaknesses overlap, so that's what happened. and you're just gonna see every single Geodude just kind of get destroyed. Poor Geodude, look at that. Bubble, 20 base power, went from 20 base power to a nuke. And you're gonna see the how crippling quadruple weaknesses are, because you're gonna see the Sandshrew equal level. Yeah, that's a super effective hit. So don't have quadruple weaknesses, kids. But yeah, that's Camper Liam. But of course, we're really here for Brock because, well, he's the actual gym leader. And you're going to see me just swap Bubble for Tackle because I just want to spam Bubble the entire time without having to press down on the D-pad. Something to think about while you're preparing your battles. Then, of course, Geodude just drops. There's nothing to really say about this one. Is it a two-shot? Yeah, but it's okay. And then when at level 13 it gets Water Gun, and you're going to see the immediate power difference between Bubble and Water Gun. I don't know why Squirtle starts with Bubble. Maybe it's a nerf it slightly. I don't know. I don't know what the reason could be. Yeah, that's incredible. So you have this incredible turtle that can take out Brock easily. So something to think about if you're trying to speedrun the game or trying to make progress quickly. Squirtle in the next coming routes will just absolutely obliterate all these little junior trainers because number one, he's over leveled, but two, look at the little damage it takes from Tackle and from all the really low power moves in this game. And it's just quite impressive that a starter like this can just blow past everything. I mean, granted it is like 4 or 5 levels over leveled, but at the same time it's profile because you're gonna keep using it, so it's like it's not like you can completely lower your stats on purpose like Kingdom Hearts or something. This is just, you're just using it, that's all you're doing, and because you're using it so frequently, the damage output is going to be quite impressive. Like, you can also see him just take absolutely nothing from everything. You rarely go to the Pokemon Center or rarely use a potion because the reliability of Squirtle is really high. And yeah, there really isn't much that can threaten you. There's no electric types. The few grass types that are here, well, your Spearow can clean up. So there basically is no threat to Squirtle whatsoever. It wins everything else. Now, will it remain that way? Absolutely not. And we will see Blastoise compared to the other water types, and it's not going to be a pretty picture. That's why I really don't recommend picking Squirtle at all, unless you're doing like a speedrun or something. But then even then, I've heard some speedrunners use Charmander as well. I don't even know how they do that, considering the matchups for the first 2 gyms is absolutely piss poor. But, you know, that's a conversation for another day. We're talking about our good friend Squirtle here. And something to note is that anything that's equal leveled, it gets walled by a Jigglypuff of all things. And I don't know how much damage it really would have done. I don't think it would have won Squirtle, but yeah, anything that could take Squirtle's hits is its foe. Is his arch nemesis, which is kind of funny. But I'm over here just trying to catch a Nidoran for the Pokedex, so don't mind me. Mount Moon is a rather fun place to be if you are a Squirtle. And the reason why is because there's a lot of Geodudes, and there's a lot of hikers, and specifically the new Pokemon Zubat that a lot of the Rocket Grunts will have doesn't have anything that would actually immediately threaten you. It doesn't have any status moves, doesn't have a super effective move, and also over here I caught a 1% Clefairy, which is really cool, by the way. Will I ever use the Clefairy? I don't know, we'll see. But Squirtle has a really great matchup against these goobers. Now, there's something I did forget to mention, is that you can buy the Magikarp here, and if you were running Venusaur or you were playing with Charmander, it'd be a really prudent decision to get a excuse me, it would be a really prudent decision to get a Gyarados, because Gyarados shares a lot of the same features as Squirtle. Namely, it does have poor damage output on the special side, but what makes Gyarados so special, and you're going to see, is his ability to Intimidate, which gives him just this fat layer of bulk that you never really expect from a water type.
and it'll get a move called Dragon Rage. But I'm getting a little way ahead of myself right now. But for now, I could have been leveling up my Magikarp here, but I just completely forgot to buy it, and as a result, I go to get to the Old Rod in Vermilion, and I just caught a Magikarp as is. And you also see my Squirtle evolved into Wartortle, which is basically just Squirtle but better, so faster, stronger, bulkier, so things like that. And something to note is that, well, really nothing can really threaten Wartortle. It's on a mind of its own, really. It's because if you saw a Squirtle earlier and it was just tanking everything, what do you think a Wartortle was going to be? Look at that, quick attack from Stab, a quick attack from Rattata didn't really do anything. And of course, your damage output is increased, so Sandshrews are now dropping to a single water gun. And of course, there's a lot of wild encounters. This is why, if you're able to afford the money, get some repels, because some of these wild encounters are just annoying. And another thing to note is that I also did get a Geodude. I don't know why I didn't show it here, but I caught a Geodude, and you want to level. There's this one area in Mount Moon where there's just Parises, and they give attack EVs, so you can level up and increase your attack at the same time. You don't really need to know 100% how the EV system works. Just know that when you take out a Pokemon, it gives you a certain stat, and when you kill 4 of them before you level up, you get one bonus to your stat, which is pretty nifty. So if you want to level up your Judy to get them caught up with your other guys, just level them up with the Parises. The Parises also give good experience too. And you see this, the move Bite. Bite is one of the most important moves because there's some psychic types running around, and now you're able to do super effective damage against them. And even better, it's a special move, and you're mainly prioritizing your special attack here. So it's almost like he has a weak Dark Pulse in like later games. And this Dark type coverage is so useful against Misty Starmie and against any future Ghost and Psychic types. Misty is a curious case because I actually took several attempts before I can defeat her gym, mainly because of her super potion antics, healing her Starmie and Staryu. So what I opted to do was weaken Staryu as much as I could to save health for Wartortle. And yes, I need to scrounge around for as much health as I can. And I use Withdrawal because for my previous attempts, even though Starmie's Swift did absolutely no damage, it kept doing it. And as a result, it outdamaged me just because it had healing items, and I'm trying not to use items in this playthrough because items are kind of stupid. I also see it tanked the Swift really well, and in this run, for some reason, Misty decided not to heal her Starmie. So you saw what happened. The rival battle is really just here to kind of check your team and its effectiveness, because you really want other Pokemon to cover Wartortle's weaknesses. Like, for example, this Pidgeotto is really quite annoying, so if you could just deal with it from the first outing, that would be great. And Geodude at minimum level 11 when it first gets Rock Throw is more than enough to take it out. Then Spearow is a great switch in on Bulbasaur because it resists all its moves. And the only threatening move it has is Sleep Powder, but even then it doesn't immediately threaten Spearow. And then, of course, Abra's a nice showing of Bite, Dark, super effective damage. And then Wartortle just walls and defeats Rattata. Nothing crazy. Nugget Bridge, like the rival battle, is just testing your team composition because it throws at you everything that you've seen up to this point, namely all the bugs, all the flying types, the ground types, and the poison types that you've seen. And the three of these, this core of these three can actually cover each other's weaknesses. So Geodude takes care of the bugs and the flying types, Spearow takes care of the grass types and the bug types, and Wartortle can basically deal with everything else because Wartortle is the king of reliability. And you'll also see that Geodude also struggles with bulky ground types like Sandshrew. Well, that's not really much of a problem with the Wartortle because he could just one-shot him with Water Gun. And, well, Wartortle could just deal with everything. except the grass types, because you really don't do too much damage, and then it doesn't help that it resists one of your stabs. And it's also important to have a ground type because you're going to see a lot of electric types as well as poison types, and you want to be able to deal with them as swiftly as possible. And there's not many good ground types in the beginning. You could get Sandshrew, but Sandshrew doesn't learn a ground type move. Oh, a good one. It learns Dig, but then that's like a 2-turn move, waste time. Meanwhile, Geodude gets Magnitude, which can do more damage than Dig, and it often does. But yeah, here's just Wartortle absolutely flaming everything. I'm not going to include everything from the next route over because it's effectively just the same thing. But there's one battle here with youngster Dan, and the reason why I picked this battle up in particular because he has a Slowpoke. And if you have any other starter, except, if you had Charmander or you had other Pokemon, Slowpoke would be an issue. But of course, Wartortle's Dark type coverage covers it very well. Oh, I finally get a Magikarp after all this time. And I chose to omit the training montage because it's just me running around Kanto looking for every single trainer I can to swap train. But I eventually get Mr. Gyarados here. And what makes Gyarados very particular because it has both a really high special defense stat for some reason and access to the ability Intimidate, which Intimidate just on switching lowers the opponent's attack, which is very useful. So it's like his defense is higher than it really is. So you'll see Geodude take out Pidgeotto, then you'll see Spearow almost take out Ivysaur. It's kind of embarrassing that it can't, just because its special defense is piss poor, and Ivysaur is, well, a lot stronger now. So it's going to take a little more than just a silly peck to take it out. I should have gave him Aerial Ace, but then again, Fearow, what Spearow turns into, gets Drill Peck, and that might not be necessary. And you'll also see Gyarados put in work here, so you'll tank the Raticate's Hyper Fang, and you'll take Kadabra's Confusion because of his high special defense. So yeah, that's what Gyarados can contribute. I want to show every fight of this route, particularly because it's not that interesting. But what is interesting to see is that despite Gyarados' paltry special attack, his Water Pulses still do enough damage, and yes, I chose to give it Water Pulse because it's a better recipient of it than Wartortle, simply because it needs that extra power, whereas Wartortle is completely content with having Water Gun. And you'll also see, of course, just giving him Water Pulse. And also because Gyarados doesn't get a Water move until much, much later, and we don't have time to have much, much later. So if you want Gyarados, let's just say you didn't pick Squirtle, Gyarados is over here putting in massive work against these Geodudes because all these Pokemon are basically for the base stats you get Gyarados at. Gyarados really is a mid to late game Pokemon in terms of stats, so these low leveled Pokemon just get absolutely shredded by Gyarados, and it's particularly how early you get it too. And the only problem with getting Gyarados is its Magikarp conveniently levels up very slow. So it's like a reward that you get. You spent time with this pathetic Magikarp. Now you finally get this monster of a Gyarados. Rock Tunnel, in terms of Pokemon battling, like the trainers themselves, they carry a unique blend of water types, grass types. They basically do have everything you've seen up to this point, but there's a specific trainer class called the Pokemaniac that have 2 new additions, Cubone and of course Slowpoke. And we saw already before that Slowpoke is weak to Dark, and also Gyarados conveniently has Bite, just like Wartortle does. But you're going to start seeing Gyarados' slow special attack kind of creep up to it a little bit. You'd think this low special defense Cubone would get one shot, but no, it doesn't. So that's an instance of an interaction change. And remember, if you remember a Wartortle 1 or 2 shotting Slowpoke, well, now Gyarados 2 or 3 hits it. Not a good look, but at the same time, Gyarados is still hitting them super effective damage, is still taking their hits very well. So in a normal playthrough, you really wouldn't notice at all. And of course, Gyarados still functions decently as a water type because Charmander isn't going to hurt that well. And this new move, Dragon Rage, is really unique because it does a fixed 40 damage. So it doesn't matter what the opponent's special defense is. It doesn't matter what your special attack is. it always does 40 damage. And if you don't have a move that's super effective against these low level Pokemon, it does heaps of damage, as you saw to that Mankey. And especially to these low level Pokemon, because, well, they're only have like 50, 60, 70 base HP. So you're just effectively nearly nuking their health, just blowing a hole through it. And of course, against Onyxes, it's just gonna clean house because, well, they're uniquely weak to water. I'm not gonna show every single Pokemon battle because that'd be tedious and boring. That I can find in Rock Tunnel, but I just want to show a few where Dragon Rage really does shine forth, like that Jigglypuff, for example, because it has a high amount of HP, so it can wall Gyarados somewhat well. But of course, Dragon Rage chunks it for a lot of its health, and also just the valuableness, is that a word? The usefulness of Dark type damage, because now I can actually damage Slowpoke. So this guy has like 3 of them. And there you go, you could just 2-shot every single one of them. And Gyarados can easily take them out, despite a special attack being absolutely horrible. And then of course you're going to see Gyarados absolutely mollywop basic trainers with Pidgeys and Rats, and specifically that one, Dragon Rage, just completely one-shotted. Had less than 30, it had less than 40 health, which is just wild to me. I don't know how a level 19 Pokemon has that, but Rattata kind of just sucks. But also, there's something to note is that Gyarados is really good against grass types because it's not weak to grass type damage because it's part flying. Now the only thing it trades for not being weak to grass is quadruple electric weakness, so that's something you want to keep in mind, and a newfound rock weakness. So yeah. The new trainer battle here, rival battle. And Gyarados can clean house pretty well, but of course I just bring out my core of Geodude, Spearow, Gyarados, Wartortle. And something to know is that Spearow's a little underleveled, and now Razor Leaf is stinging a little more because instead of 40 base power, now I'm dealing with 55. But you also see Gyarados switch in on Ivysaur's Razor Leaf. Now that's not something you really see every day. And then of course Dragon Rage does a great job of 2-shotting the opponent Gyarados. And then, you know, me as a water type, I can 1-shot a low leveled Growlithe. And then Wartortle's nice special defense comes in when it could take a Confusion, use Bite, and take it out. What a journey this has been so far. If you liked the video, like, comment, and subscribe. And specifically, if you want to something to comment what I'm referencing with these nicknames, because the first 2 are very on the nose, but the rest maybe not so. But if you don't get the first 2, then that's just a personal feeling at that point. But I just love nicknaming my Pokemon because it just personalizes the experience for me. That's what Pokemon's main selling point is. And I didn't get to nickname them because I actually cared about their nature and stats. So I didn't want to nickname Pokemon I wouldn't use, like I soft reset for. So as a time saver, I decided not to nickname them. But of course, if you've seen from my other videos, I love nicknaming my Pokemon. So I just wait until I get good stats, and then I just go wherever I can to nickname them. I actually do love the new feature where the new games where you can just nickname whatever you want. There's this curious battle here with 2 fire types. And why did I even mention this one random junior trainer? Well, it's because despite Gyarados' higher level and the 60 base power water type move, you will see in the next one, he couldn't quite 1-shot a Vulpix. Now, I know this is splitting hairs, like really if you were just 1 level higher, you'd be able to 1-shot him. But it really just speaks to what's to come, in other words, in terms of Gyarados' and Wartortle's fall off when compared to the other water types. Anyways, enough trashing poor Gyarados. How about we compliment poor Gyarados? And you're going to see why I equip a Cherry Berry to begin with. Because guess what? Gyarados, yes, a water type, takes out Erica, the grass type gym leader. How does he do that? Well, his combination of high special defense and keep in mind, his special defense is so high that these Pokemon with 100 minimum base special attack aren't doing too much with their stab Giga Drains. And of course, Tangela really doesn't have that much health with Dragon Rage, just 2 shots. Again, more reason why Dragon Rage is just incredibly epic. And even against Vileplume, who has a really strong, 100 base 100 special attack. Look, those Giga Drains are doing absolutely nothing. Now, granted, I am 4 levels over. However, even it's just 4 levels, and I'm really not I'm not hitting them with anything especially hard that would change any interactions. I'm using Dragon Rage, so me being slightly over leveled doesn't strike me as too much of a big deal, as it takes out a grass type gym leader. Really isn't too much to say considering the next big fight with Giovanni. I also chose to omit all the Rocky grunts because they're pathetic and stupid. But Gyarados takes out the Onix, takes out Rhyhorn predictably, and something to note is that it could take out the Kangaskhan, and Kangaskhan is kind of like the boss battle in this point in time, because Kangaskhan has surprisingly high stats for its range, because look at that, Dragon Rage is absolutely nothing. I tried Water Pulse, but it did even less damage, so again, it betokens his really low special attack stat, but it doesn't matter, he gets the job done, he has great stats, he can do it. So yeah. Remember Wartortle? Yeah, I forgot that man existed. But these ghost types, they are trivial because I have Bite, and Bite is again a really rare move. I really want to stress the importance of dark type coverage because of the ghosts and psychics that Gen 1 really didn't offer much counterplay to, because there's no dark type Pokemon, there's no Pokemon that has a high special defense stat with a high base damage of a dark type move in Gen 1. So the most you're ever gonna get is Bite, and Bite is really limited in its distribution, only to like Persian, Gyarados, Wartortle, Growlithe, and I think a few others, but I don't remember literally every single Pokemon that has Bite. But just know that it's a very limited distribution. And you're going to see my good friend just take out every single ghost type channeler. And the reason why I'm doing this is because, well, Ghastly has gives special attack EVs, and I need as much special attack as I can because you're seeing the damage fall off on both Wartortle and Gyarados. So he's going to need a little bit of help if he's going to keep up with the heavy hitters that are coming up. And I'm also doing this because I need a Blastoise. So I'm not going to get a Blastoise at the end of this, but what I will get, however, is just a much higher leveled Wartortle. And I'm actually, you can even see me, I'm literally looking for every single channeler so I can get as much special attack and levels as I physically possibly can. I won't spend too much time on this, but the Ghost Marowak is, well, a ground type, so either any of your water types can easily deal with it, so there's not much to say about this one. I'm going to highlight this specific fight with these Rocket Grunts because the damage fall off is coming a lot faster than you think it is. Look at that. What? A Golbat. I'm 10 levels over. Golbat doesn't have a good special defense stat, but Water Pulse really doesn't do too much. Just something to consider when using these Pokemon, because these are really good early going Pokemon, and you're seeing them pay dividends when dealing with threats like Erica and all the rock types and whatnot. So these really do function in the early game. It's not like they're just bad. They're gonna outlive their usefulness. Let's just put it that way. What I'm doing right now is transferring Shelter and Psyduck to my Leaf Green playthrough. So if those of you unaware, those two Pokemon are completely unobtainable in Leaf Green. You have to get them in Fire Red because you have Starmie and Slowbro. So it's just a version exclusive thing. And I want to compare every single water type, but I can't do that if I'm just playing Leaf Green. I have to get Fire Red so I'm able to get Shelter and Cloyster. And Shelter and Psyduck, excuse me. And this way we can do a side-by-side comparison between all the water types that you're going to be able to obtain soon. So basically for a full comparison, I'm trying to get every single water type, and then we're going to compare how much they contribute in your playthrough. So stay tuned for that. Like, comment, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.